Good evening, everyone. This is Vera Sadler, your host of Tuesday Talk Live. And I always tell you I have an exciting guest, but I can't tell you how amazing this is. And every time the Lord tells me to bring a guest on, I know it's going to be the right time and it's going to be exciting. But hopefully, she doesn't tell any stories about me. And we were just before we did this live talking about this person. Now, I've had people on here, I said, have known me 20, 30 years, but this person has known me longer than anybody and any guest I've ever had on. This is my oldest friend, one of my oldest friends. We grew up together.
Yes.
We started in
High
eighth grade, I
school.
think.
Oh, yes,
Eighth
yes,
grade and then
yes,
high school, maybe eighth grade. I
yes.
think it was eighth grade. We
I
all
think
kind of met up.
so.
Me, you, it was the four of us
Yes.
and a whole bunch of other sisters, friends. But I can't wait to introduce all of you to my friend. I don't know if we should go by pastor, minister, first lady, Elaine
Elaine.
Jordan. I call her that, just Elaine
Yes,
Jordan, but she
yes.
is the owner of EJ Elegance Eats. And we want to talk about her business. We want to talk about just how she's gone from the Elaine I knew to Elaine Jordan and the
Yes.
owner of EJ Elegant Eats. So I welcome to our show tonight, Elaine, and I'm just Vera. Elaine, and she's going to tell us who she is, where she hailed from, and then we're going to jump into a conversation about everything great she's doing.
Amen. Well, thank you for having me. This is a pleasure. I'm excited, as you can tell by the smile on my face. As Vera said, my name is Elaine Jordan, and we go way back to Central Islip, New York, and just growing up together and having all kinds of fun in high school. This was I would say, our BC days. But but
Yes.
yes, I'm excited to be here. Yeah, so yes.
And where are you now, Elaine? If you just tell our guests that's
I am
listening.
located in Killeen, Texas. I located here many years ago while in the Army, and then retired here and stayed here, met my husband here, and we made a home here. Mhm.
Yes. So, one of the reasons, so I hope all the guests listening, so I'm going to preface this by telling you one of the reasons I wanted Elaine to come on, as well as I've had some other business owners, is because I want our young people who are ever thinking about and our entrepreneurs to see how you can do it. You can't,
Mhm.
you may start out slow, you may do something, but if God has gifted you to do something,
Yes.
you can take this idea, you can take this business, and it can become not just, oh, I do it for a hobby, but it can become profitable, it can become a business.
Yes.
And Elaine, you have just gone from just baking cakes and starting out and learning how to decorate to now you teach, which I'm
Yes.
so excited and so thrilled when I saw that you are a chef at Central Texas, an instructor at Central Texas College.
Yes.
Before we tell everybody how you got there, we just want to start out with, I remember when I saw you and I said, "Oh, I'm going to come visit you," and then I heard that
Mhm.
you were baking cakes and you started out. Tell us how you got started, even in the cake baking business.
Well, to tell you the truth, and I did not know this, but I know it was God ordained because growing up, whenever we had our holiday meals, Thanksgiving or Christmas or anything like that, when we made a simple, the yellow cake with the chocolate frosting that most of us had was our dessert. I would always take a butter knife and I would use the butter knife to make designs in the frosting.
Oh wow!
Never knowing that that was something that, would develop into me being a cake decorator. And so, what's going on? Okay. And so after that, after leaving and coming in the Army, I went in the Army. I followed Vera because Vera joined the Army first. And I thought to myself, you know
Was
what?
it right?
Yes, I want to get away from New York. I want to go and do something. I was smart, but didn't want to go to college, and and so I decided to join the Army and stayed in there 21 years. And then after that, I would watch Cake Boss. I don't know why. I just got interested in Buddy, on Cake Boss, and I would see
Mm-hmm.
him make these cakes. And one of my friends that I worked with, she saw that I could draw. And she was like, you know what? If you can draw, you should try out cake decorating. And I was like, what does that have to do with, one thing have to do with the other? And so she was like, Hobby Lobby has classes that they give. And so I said, okay. And then she told me when the classes were, it was like God was pushing her to push me into taking those classes. And so I did, and I went through their courses, and it's a Wilton course, and they teach you from the basics on up. And I did that, and I went to my pastor, and I told him, I'm going to start a cake decorating business. And he was like, okay, really? Okay. And so I started. And when I was in those classes, I made this one cake for a friend, and he liked golfing. And so I made this big sheet cake with a golf scene on it and all this kind of stuff. And then someone tasted the cake, and it was a lemon cake. And this lady came to me and said, who made the cake? And I said, I did. She said, can you make one for my husband? It's his birthday. And it started from there. It started from
That's
there with
amazing.
people, word of mouth, and yes, people tasting the cake, and then people saying, hey, can you make a cake for me? And so that's how I started doing the cake decorating business. My husband was very supportive once he saw, what I could do with, cakes and making them look good. And I always call him quality assurance, because he'll come in there and say, are you going to put a border on that? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? So he really helped me, with that. And then after that, after I started going, for a couple of years, about 5 years, I was just doing it on my own. And this is how God worked. I was driving down the street, and of course, with the Army, you have some money that you can go to school. And I really hadn't used my money. And so I was driving past Central Texas College, and I said, let me go over here and see what they have, as far as baking. And they have a whole program in the culinary department, baking. I got my associate's degree, bacon specialty, applied associates in bacon and pastry specialization, what it was.
So before you continue going down that road, I must stop you. Yes. Because you've said a couple of things that I want people to really hear about your journey. So one of the things you said, you baked this cake, had the golf design. Well, first you said you went and you took these courses. How hard was those courses to learn how to do those designs? Because, girl, I can't draw. Now we know. We grew up together. That wasn't my talent. We used to like to, okay, I'm going to tell a little bit about us. Guys, when we were in high school, we had a little dance group.
Yeah, there you go.
We thought we were this it. Yes. It was our other girlfriends, and we had us a little dance group. We used to sing. We used to dance.
Yes.
Still like to do that a little bit, not dance as much. Since I came on that side, I dance with the Lord, or I like to dance a little bit, but not like we used to try to do. Right. Try to sing a little, but that's not my talent. I've never been able to draw, Elaine. I've never had that. I think it was just 2 days ago, I was laughing with somebody said, arts and crafts are not my thing, but writing is my thing. But anyway, how hard was it to take that talent and really take it from paper to a cake?
For me, it wasn't.
Just saying that I can't do that.
Yes. And I think that plays into it. However, just like I teaching at CTC, I am learning that you can perfect that art with practice. So in the beginning, it can be hard because, there's certain techniques, there's certain ways to hold the piping bag, there's certain things, and a lot of people try to do it the way they imagine it should be done, Okay. And so if you're receptive to the instruction and you do it the way I tell you, or like I did with the instructor that we had at Hobby Lobby, then you can be successful. So I think that anybody can really kind of learn how. And later on, I'll give you a story about a student that I had just this last semester, and just teaching her. Yes.
And then you said another thing, that not only did you make this cake, but when you went to this party, somebody asked you for this cake with the golf thing, but it was the taste. And I wanted to bring that back because my daughter is really good. And we bought one of your cakes, which was great.
Right.
We drove all the way to Clean, y'all, and got this cake because I wanted to get a cake from my friend.
Right.
This was years ago. I was looking online today. I may have to get some more because your
Okay.
decorating techniques are just amazing. I was like, oh my gosh, is this something she can't make? But
Mhm.
you said that the lady said they tasted the cake. So I have
Yes.
found there's certain places that we've gone to different bakeries here, and the cakes can be amazing. I mean, the
Yes.
outside look right, but you bite into it, you're like,
Right.
oh. And so, have you encountered, I mean, as you were developing your skill, people
Hmm.
that don't take the time, they take a lot of time on the design, but they don't take the time that's needed in the bakery part. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
Still preserving the flavor, the texture,
Hmm.
because if I want cake, my family's good on the design for the kids or whoever.
Right.
That's pretty. One time I had a cake that looked like my leopard thing and a purse, and it was a
Okay.
chocolate
Right.
shoe and all. That was great. But when I eat the cake, I want it to taste good too.
You want it to taste good. Yes. And I've tasted, cakes that did not taste good. They were dry, or, the flavor wasn't there. We deal with that with the students because they do have to bake a cake that is, edible. And sometimes they do. They look good on the outside, but the inside is and not. And that's one thing that, is a stickler to me. I want that cake to taste good. I want someone to say, the cake was beautiful, because sometimes it's hard for those people to cut their cake. And
Mm,
I've made cakes where people have said the cake is still in the freezer. I didn't want anybody to eat it. And so they've held on to the cake. And so, but you do want the cake that's very important for the cake to taste good also.
yeah. And so I just wanted to bring those out to people who are listening too, because it's not just that you had to learn this skill and develop your talent of drawing and making on cake, but you had to couple both of
Yes.
these, right? Yes. Your talent for baking and your talent for drawing and making this
Yes.
cake. In order to get where you are and to make something, and then again you can go back to, now you said, so you went to CTX, said, oh, and how many
Yes.
of us think about going to culinary school to develop how to? We think about the Hobby Lobbies, the cake decorating class.
Right.
Let's go do that for fun. But how many people you really think about? Let's go take this class so I can.
Right. Right. And that came from the cake business growing, and then thinking about it, I said, you know what? I think that it'll be a good thing if I had on paper saying this is a specialization that I have, because some people do want to see your credentials.
Yes.
They want to see that you are school trained, even though they know you can make that cake. That could be the difference in you getting a client and not getting a client, because somebody will be like, oh, okay, but they did go to school for it. And so I guess that's where the Lord was leading me, and he was like, go over there and sign up. And I came home and I told my husband, I just signed up for baking classes, and I love it, because at our school it goes from the basics of bakery math, all of that, to learning how to bake, how to deal with certain ingredients and all of that, so that you will get a good product out of it. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That just seems to, like, I can't imagine. So let's use one of your designs I was just looking at online.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw this cake that was a football field. It
Okay.
was, and I'm looking at all the, and I mean, yeah, you see on TV cake balls at different places, and I've also
Mm-hmm.
seen some failures on those shows, but
Right.
the lines, and so to make sure that the green stays green, and the white and the field looks like it's supposed to. How much time does it take, Elaine, for you to really put into making that look like that? Or one of my favorites is a sneaker.
Right.
I think that's when
Right.
I was blown away, that it was a sneaker that looked like a sneaker someone bought out of a store with the
Yes.
laces and the shoe and the design. How much the time does it take, and intricate details does it? And people
Mm-hmm.
are like, are they really talking about a cake? Yes, this is this woman's gift.
Right.
And
Yes.
I'll interject here, where some people forget our gifting and talent comes from the Lord, right?
That's right.
Sometimes we don't even know until we start saying, Lord,
Until we start.
my hands what to do, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
he took that talent that you gave back to him and he really flourished it. Both
yes.
of us, as you said, went into the military. We were same reason I did. I need to get up out of Central Islip.
Right.
We had offers to go to school, but that's not where we wanted to go. We wanted to
Mm-hmm.
leave home, and we
Yes.
did what we did. We went to our
Right.
different places, our different workplaces. I didn't retire out of there, but I got out
Right.
of there. But went into the workplace, but then God has a plan for us, right?
Yes, he
And
does.
yes, my talent is doing what I do, what I'm doing now.
Yes.
Talent is this business, but we don't even know how God wants to do it and the intricate details that he's already woven inside of us.
Yes.
So I'm saying, how did, because if I was making that cake, they look, what is that? What is that thing you put over there?
You know, it sometimes I really do. I'm like, when someone brings me a cake and say, hey, can you, like the first shoe that I made, which was a Jordan tennis shoe, you know, and I was thinking, Lord, you know, how can I make it? Show me what to do first, you know, because those shoes, those are carved, you know, I have to carve them. I don't have a mold to bake it in or anything like that. I take the cake, I stack it, and I carve it with a knife into that shape. And so
Oh
when you're
wow.
talking, yes, when you're talking about cakes like that, it's probably like 10 hours, you know,
Oh
of
wow.
work and all of that, making that cake. And the details, making the little details that go on the cake, the little like you said, the shoestrings, you know, around the shoestrings has a little
Eyelids.
eyelet. So I gotta cut out all these little circles, and I gotta use an extruder to get the shoestring, you know, all of that is edible. And so, you know, making all of that, you're talking about maybe 8 to 10 hours, you know, of work. But that's not even thinking about the brain power, because, you know, I do lay awake some nights like, what do I need to do first? You know, how am I going to do this? And sometimes I'll even ask that person, do you have that shoe so I can have it sitting right there as a model for me to look at, you know? Otherwise, I'm pulling up stuff on Google. Give me this angle, show me this angle, you know, just so I can get it done.
And I was going to ask you, do a lot of your creative images, because guys, I'm going to put her Facebook, which is the same as her email, her so you can see her Facebook is EJ's Elegant Eats, and that's the same as her email if you want to reach out to her. She is in the Killeen area, but if you like me and you want something good and you want it right, you'll drive. And once you see her Facebook page and the images, you're going to want to go. I'm having a conversation with Elaine Jordan, the owner of EJ Elegant Eats, and when I say cakes extraordinaire, but I want you guys to go and look at some of these pictures. And when you look at those, Elaine, when I was going to say, when I looked at so many of these different designs, what came to my mind was, do you design them out? Because you were just saying you have to lay out the cake, you have to cut it out, or will somebody come to you and say, hey, I want a cake, and you know, it's my child's birthday and I want it to be this, I want dinosaurs, or I want this. I saw one with the Iron Man, and literally his hand showed like when he, you know, Iron Man's one of my favorite Marvel characters. But Iron Man, I was watching, I said, well, I need her to make me Captain Marvel, but with my face, you know. But with the light coming out, so do they bring you the pictures, or do you have to kind of draw this out yourself?
It's both.
Or you think of a lot,
and
just
some,
by theme?
yeah, some of them are both. You know, sometimes they bring me a picture or they give me an example of a cake that they've seen before, and we mesh it together with this tier and that tier. We can implement that. And I'll tell you about that Iron Man cake. That young man, I believe the Iron Man, he was turning 6. I've been doing his birthday cake since he was 1. And so,
Wow.
yes. And so every year his mom comes out with some doozies for me, you know, and I have to say it on and then she doesn't have his parties locally. She has his parties where they have to drive somewhere and take the cake there, you know, because I tell her, well, I'm not driving all the way to deliver it, so she'll come and pick it up. But the last cake that I just did, and I don't know if you've seen it, it was with a skate, and there's a little boy that's all the way up on the top of the cake.
And with a hockey stick?
Yes.
They're doing it.
That was his
It was like
7th
3 or 4
birthday.
layers, 3 or 4
Yes.
tiers.
Yes. Yes. And so I actually was trying to get out of doing that cake, but she was like, "No, ma'am, I need you to do this cake." So yeah, it's been challenging, but it's been fun and it's been rewarding when I see that God is the one that brought me through it. And I'm like, wow, Lord, I did that, because you helped me to be able to create that cake, So I thank God for that. And even with that, it's learning what to put in the structure so that it won't bend and fall
Okay.
over
I
or
was going
anything
to
like
ask you,
that.
how does that maintain and
Yes.
stay like it does, and then so that she can travel, they can eat, doesn't fall apart and crumble. So it's
Yes.
all like you said, I guess, from when you said when you were at school and you learned all the techniques and all the
Yes.
textures, all the things to mix together. That's amazing.
Yes.
What a
Mm-hmm.
talent. What a talent. I mean,
Amen. Praise
and then
God.
there's people like us that sit back and we enjoy it. We go,
Mm-hmm.
we do all the, did you see that? Oh, how amazing. And then we're
Right.
slicing it. And I'm like, I would probably be like the lady that had the cake in the freezer. I don't want anybody touch that piece. Or I take a layer off. I
Right.
don't want anybody cut that piece because it's so pretty. I don't want anybody
Yes.
cut it. I saw one that was a beautiful, I'm trying to think, was it a Louis Vuitton purse? And I mean, I was like, okay, now she's really up my alley because all my family knows I'm the foo-foo one in the family. The rest of them
Oh,
like, we don't care about all that foo-foo. I
right.
can be tomboy when I need to be, but I like that. I'm the little prissy one, so I love that
Right.
one. But you're so talented at this. But you did
Mhm.
all this. You went to school. You learned your trade. What made you shift to teaching? How did you go from I'm loving it, I'm baking, I got this thriving business, because
Mhm.
now you're not only spending all these hours doing this, but
Yes.
how do you teach?
Yes. So when I was in school, I started loving it even more, and helping another fellow student, to get this done or, make this, flower or something like that. And I told my teacher at the time, so I said, you know what, I would love to come and teach, and the the head teacher at that time, she was getting ready to retire. And so she was like, okay, we want you to go to this school. Once you graduate, go to this extra school I went to in Georgia, to learn from a pastry chef, Nicholas Lodge is his name. And he specializes in creating flowers that look real. And so I had to foot that bill myself, because it wasn't accredited or anything like that. But I did go, and that qualified me to be a teacher. And I came back, and they threw me right up in there, and yes, a couple of the chefs that we have working there, same thing, graduated. They love teaching, they love cooking or baking, and they come and we teach there. And so it
So
has
you had to
been
go back and do
rewarding.
2 more different courses?
I went to one more different courses, which was a flower making course, because we
Okay.
do teach that there at the school also. And so it was a nice course. I stayed there a whole week in Norcross, Georgia, and it was very rewarding. And he's a very good teacher, so I really enjoyed it, and just got to do something that I love. And I really do love seeing a person go from not knowing how to teach. I mean, not knowing how to decorate a cake, to being rewarded and seeing them, make a nice cake. And this is a student that I just had a student, and just tell you this, she was very difficult for me. And I even told my husband, I think I'm gonna have one student that I cannot teach how to decorate, because it was very challenging. And every time she did a cake, I was like, that doesn't look anything like I told you it's supposed to look like. You didn't even color the frosting the right way or anything. And then later on, she did another cake, and it was kind of messed up. And I was getting on her, but then she said, but how are my shells, the shell border? And I looked at them and I said, they look good. I'm proud of you, And I said, there's hope for you yet. And she said, with your help, yes. And that just melted my heart, And I was like,
Uh-huh.
by the end of the course, she did better. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't, I wouldn't say I would hire her or even use her in my shop or anything, but just to see the progress that she made,
Yes.
let me know that I was helping her out. She could make a cake for her family if she wanted to.
So, it's I love that story that you just shared, because then it also tells those that are listening, when God has gifted you and he has granted you to be able to do something, we should be able to give back, right? And
Yes,
giving back is not always a comfortable lane,
that's
because he
right.
doesn't give back to who makes it easy for you. Sometimes it's going to be, like you said, challenging. Sometimes
Yes,
those opportunities are going to be something like, really, Lord. I
right,
myself in place where I'm like, really, Lord, did you really call me to this? Or you really
right.
called me to this one? And then the reward at the end is like, wow. Uh,
Yes.
Sometimes you're tired. You go with some exhilaration. You start by the
Mm-hmm.
end of the class or the end of whatever you're doing. You're tired, but when you see the end result of the impact on somebody's life, so now
Yes.
she may not make the cakes the way you do or decorate them or even like her classmates, but she probably
Mm-hmm.
came out. I bet you poured more self-confidence, Elaine, into that young woman to give her the
Mm-hmm.
idea, I can do something better than what I used to.
Yes.
And I think
Yes.
when we look at that with a bigger scope, right? Because sometimes we just have this narrow vision, but when we open our vision to say, God, this is what you get the glory out of this piece of it.
Yes.
Even though I want it to look like this. So I'm training myself to think that way. And I
Yes.
say
Yes.
all that to say I'm training myself to think, God, I see it this way, but you are a much bigger picture.
That's
So in the
right.
scope of it, she may not run a thriving cake business, but she
Right.
now has a confidence in her heart to know that someone took time with
Took the
me and thought
time.
I was worth it.
Yes.
Man, what a life lesson. If anybody's listening, what a life lesson that when
Mm-hmm.
you have been given the talent and the ability to do something, giving back, spending 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes
Mm-hmm.
with somebody. Sometimes I'll
Yes.
have people stop me and say, you got a minute? And even though I want to say no,
No. Right.
I'll stop and say, what do you need? Now, if
That's
they're just
right.
frivolous, I'm like, okay, now you're wasting my
Yes.
time. But I try to stop because I never know whose life I'm going to impact and I'm going
That's
to change.
right.
And I guarantee you, with some of those people that are coming to your class, Elaine, you are changing lives.
Amen.
Not just, I
I'm
mean,
gonna
you're
tell
teaching them a
you.
skill.
Yeah, when I saw the smile on her face on her last cake, because I had another student that should have been better. Her cake should have been better, but she was rushing. She was fast. She joked about it and was like, "Oh, it is what it is," one of those things. But when that young lady came out, and it was a small 2-tier cake, and she had it straight and she had it, nice and neat. I From the door, when she was coming out the door, because I usually tell them, when they have to do a cake for me, I tell them the party's at 5:20. You can't be late. You don't want to be delivering the cake. I make it like they're delivering. I said, you don't want to be delivering the cake when the guests are there, because the guests are watching you. They want to look at your hands. They want to look at your uniform to see how dirty you are. And so when she was bringing that cake out, as soon as she hit the door, I was like, look at your cake, it's so straight. It's this, and her smile was so big. And I was like, Lord, I know you were training me to have patience and, compassion and, all those things, because in the beginning I was like hard on her, like, no, that's not what I told you to do, but the Lord showed, softened my heart with her. And so she was able to feel comfortable enough to make the cake the way I wanted it to be made, and using the techniques that I wanted her to use. And so I was overjoyed. That was one of the cakes that I bragged on, like, look at this cake. She went from this to this.
Yes,
And
yes,
that
yes,
that was
yes.
an awesome, yeah. God is awesome like that.
So as I'm listening, you talk about your journey from doing that. I mean, I know where we came from. We,
Mhm.
came up in Central Islip. We had some opportunities, not the greatest, but to see where you are and what the Lord is doing now. And I hear the love of it. I see when
Mhm.
you're posting the love of it. But if you had to do it all over again, would you think you would have tried to develop this earlier? because you
Yes.
now see the hand of what God has done?
Yes, and I want to say that to your audience also. Like you said, you might be a late bloomer. I was already retired from the military, so and before I even started this business, had I known, earlier, yes, I would have started earlier, to start decorating cakes and doing all of that, so I would have had more time. But I am thankful for when God always has an appointed time and an appointed
Yes.
plan, and he just waits for us to get to where we need to be. So I thank him for that. But yes, in my mind, yeah, I would have started earlier. I probably would have been on Food Network. You start thinking, what if, but and people tell me you should go on Food Network, but that's not my thing. But yeah, I would have done it earlier. And because my sisters tell me now, my mom would have been proud to see me do it, because she was artistic like that, and
Okay.
she would have, yes, that's where I got it from, is her ability to draw. And she loved, making things and decorating things. And I know she would have loved to see and probably help me to make cakes. So I would have loved to have done it earlier than I started. But
But
it's
I
never
love the way
too
you
late.
said that. It's never. I love the way you just said that. It's
Mm-hmm.
never too late because
Mm-hmm.
uh, what I do now, I've always loved to. I don't think. No, I won't say I always love to teach.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was a little shyer.
You were
I'll
shy.
tell a little disclose a little bit here that I haven't shared ever. I think
Mm-hmm.
maybe in my book I have my first book, and I'm in the process of writing a second one. But
Mm-hmm.
so Elaine and I have a group of friends, others, and I always thought I was the ugly duckling of the group, so I always kind of shied back. I was the skinniest little thing, wasn't that skinny, Elaine? I was
Yes,
like a
and a
little
little
twig.
thing, little.
I was,
Yes.
I wore, guys, in high school, I wore size 0. But to be honest, if I'm being totally transparent with the audience, I never thought, I didn't have great self worth and self esteem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So but I loved being with my friends. I mean, we had a great core group and
Yes.
we encouraged, we lifted each other up. But Elaine, I didn't know who I was back then to even
Right.
know that I had any gifts or talents that the Lord would use, because that wasn't developed in me.
Right.
Um, and if I had to do it again, I would love. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm so grateful that you're teaching, that you took your gift and your talent and you're pouring back into others. And that's what I try to do, is because I wish
Yeah.
somebody would afford to develop me when I was younger. So I wouldn't have been such a late bloomer. But it doesn't matter where you
It
are.
doesn't.
It doesn't matter where you are, that God has purpose for all of us. He has purpose. He
Yes.
has a plan, and he can use us wherever we are.
Yes.
I want to ask, this probably one of the few questions. I'm going to let you just share whatever the Lord gives you to share with the
Mm-hmm.
audience. But thinking about this, about where I was, like I said, I didn't know who I was.
Right.
You said we went in the military for different reasons.
Yeah.
It Knowing what you know now and your passion to do this, and I know what my passion is. Is there something you think triggered that say this really is my passion, where we can help guide young women, young men to say, if this is what's going on, this is how you can develop, and this is how you can know this is what God is saying to you.
Right.
It might be
You
a little
know,
hard right off the cuff, but
right. But I'm gonna go back to what you said about you thinking that you weren't the prettiest of the bunch, and I'm like, I believe that we all think that way, because I always felt that way. I'm a little chocolate, and
beautiful
the
chocolate.
whole. And we see that now, like same thing with you, but back then we never see ourselves through God's eyes. We always see it
We don't.
through everybody else's eyes. The boys are choosing this one or that one, those little things that we think about. But I want to say that to those who are listening and all of that, because I know young people go through all of those stages.
Mhm.
Wait on God and trust God. Look at what God says about you and believe God, because
Yes.
there's so
Yes.
much in you. Like you said, he's given us gifts and he's given us talents, and each one of them that he's given us is important for somebody else, not even just for us. It'll help strengthen somebody else. bring up somebody's self-esteem or self-worth because they don't know, and I don't like to get into selfism. I just believe that what God says about you is true, and he said that we are victorious. He said that we are beautiful, and he's given us things. And once we have those passions, we have those passions
Sorry.
about certain things, that's okay. God will develop them to be used for him, for him. And I'll say that stand true to who God has called you to be, because there are certain cakes I won't do for people. I won't do, if I know that it's not something that will give God glory, I won't do them. And I have you have that right to say, I'm not gonna do that, whatever the gift is, whatever the talent is. So I just want to tell people, just continue to trust God, allow God to direct you, because that's what he did with me. When he said, go over there to that school, go take those courses, I didn't know, that it would develop into me being, known kind of around a clean as a cake lady. And I have a friend, she says I'm her cake lady, and she will not share me with other people. She'll say, I'll contact her, but I'm not going to give you her number, and she'll contact me for somebody else, And so, and I thank God for that. And then we laugh about it, but there are other people who just, who know that I am a good cake maker. Praise God. I give God the glory for that. So we got to just hang in there and just trust God with it. Same thing with you. I knew my Vera, I always knew Vera was going to do something special, so I'm serious. And I love that we're able to connect. We're both here in Texas, even though we don't see each other, but I believe that God has ordained this time for us to just connect. And like you said, build up somebody else, encourage somebody else, to not think that today is all there is, because God could wake us up tomorrow, and then what you going to do? He tells us not to worry about tomorrow, but it doesn't mean we cannot plan to be successful in the gifts that he gives us, the talents that he gives us to do.
Oh, that is so good. That is so good. And sometimes we venture off in a whole bunch of other things.
Yes.
We've been there, done that. And he will bring us back with his love and say,
yes.
Guess what? But you remember I showed you how to do this, like you.
Yes.
Showed you how to
right, with a butter knife.
Squirrels and
yes.
That's a desire of yours. And for me, used to teach Sunday school, and you really enjoyed it, and you love sharing, and you love when you read and what you got out of this, and go do this. And and you said something else earlier that was important to me. Some people don't think it is, because some people say, well, you don't have to have credentialing, you don't need this to do what I do, coaching and doing what I do. And but the Lord spoke to me and said, I need you. I want you to do this. Yes. I want people to know you have my backing. So I did the same thing like you.
That's right.
He showed me which place to go back. I didn't even think about it. And I was like, one day I was sitting, he says, he showed me, he said, go pull back up. When I got my bachelor's degree, I got a bachelor's in criminal justice and Christian counseling, a minor in Christian counseling. And it was from a place called Light University, which was connected. And it was American Association of Christian Counseling. He said, look them up. I was in a house one day. He said, look them up. They had a whole coaching platform.
Amen.
For me to get certified.
Right.
And then I got a scholarship. I got like 2 or 3 scholarships for the programs that built up for me to get my certification. When you said it so good, Elaine, when you listen, what you need, what you need to do. And then he puts the plan together.
He puts it together.
And having the credentials to do what I need to do.
Yes.
And that when those doors open, they'll be able to fling open and people say, oh, she knows what she's talking about.
Right.
Or she can bake a cake because she's actually trained and learned. She just not did something in grandma's kitchen and they were in there.
Exactly.
I don't know what it's going to taste like when it's done, or what it's going to look like,
That's
because specialty cakes they're not inexpensive. They cost money, because you just said, that's why I asked about the time, because sometimes people, oh, that's what it costs. But I wanted you to tell what time and definition and
Yes,
see you have to put into building that. So when we know this is we're paying for your labor, you
exactly,
gotta put a lot into that. I know I couldn't do it.
exactly.
I fight with my oven now. I can bake, but not like that. I can bake a
Right.
cake, but I fight with my oven now. The last cake I made, I was like, oh, we're not eating this.
Yeah.
I think it was before my birthday or something like that. I'm
Uh,
like, oh no, something. It was like something happened. Like my oven needs to be fixed. Something happened. But I
yeah.
really appreciate that you're sharing your journey and what the Lord has
Yes.
done. What is on the horizon for EJ Elegant Eats and Elaine Jordan?
Well, just recently we did a wedding expo, and we did that wedding expo to get more exposure because after I would say after COVID, a lot of people weren't doing big. Now I know that I don't know if they do it here there, but here when they have parties, it's like this whole blown out thing, you know. And so people started shrinking back on their cakes, doing small birthday cakes. Now they even call them little bento cakes with a few cupcakes. And my husband, he was like, you know what, it's time to reassert yourself, get back out there, you know. And so we did a wedding expo. And I would like to be maybe a wedding cake maker. That be my main thing. And then like the birthday cakes and things like that as a little extra on the side, because um there's a hotel, it's a Marriott here, and they're
Mm-hmm.
looking for caterers, and that's where we did the wedding expo. I would love to be one of their, you know,
Their
wedding cake
vendors.
vendors. Yes, that they call on or recommend me to their customers. So that's what that's where I'm going right now. Also with the teaching, um, I like doing it part-time because I have more freedom. Like I've been off all summer. So I want to keep that going. And then maybe eventually when I retire, just rely on the wedding cakes, doing wedding cakes. So
What is your favorite cake? Or what has been like one of your favorite or fun cakes to make? That's one question. And what's your favorite
mhm.
flavor of cake to mix with when you're making a cake?
Let me see. Now I threw together, I'll say it like that, a chai tea cake. And yes, and my
Chai tea?
friends, yes, like chai tea, but I keep telling them for me, it's a seasonal cake, but they still want it during the summer because I feel like it's a warm flavor and it should be like
I've
around,
never
you
had a
know,
chai tea cake.
yes, fall and things like that. So they love that. I like a strawberry lemonade cake, and I like strawberry cake. But like I tell my customers, you know, just let me know what flavor you want, and I'll try to get to it, you know. So yeah,
I think a chai tea. I might have to
chai
try that.
tea. My
I've
friend
never had
loves
that.
it, and it has like a nice cream cheese frosting on it with cinnamon in it, and it's really good. It's really good.
So if I come to Colleen, you're gonna make me a chai tea
I
cake.
will. I will, and I will make it
I will
into
plan it in
a
advance so
purse.
I know. And you'll make it in
Yes,
the design of a purse, you
I'll make
said?
it into a purse for you. Yes,
Oh, that now that's worth my drive to Colleen to come.
yes,
And
yes.
so what has been tell me what has been your most have you ever had a cake order that you could not make? A design that a person has asked for and you're like, oh, I can't do that.
Praise God, I haven't. I haven't.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's God. I tell you. Um, the only ones I've turned, like I said, I've turned down some because, and they weren't going to be difficult, but my conviction, my Christian conviction, I turned them down. But the most difficult one was probably, mm, I would say the shoes, the sneakers. Yeah, the Jordan sneakers, trying to get them right, you know. I think that was the most difficult one that I can think of. But when like that one with the little boy on top with the hockey stick, that was challenging because it was so tall, you know. And
Mhm.
so that one I was scared to do. And she had to even take it in two pieces and then put the top on when she got there just to make sure. But I think that was the most challenging one. So
And
yeah.
guys, you have to go to her website. That one is, I think, close to the top of her webpage, of her Facebook page, and see that
Yes.
it's amazing.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
looked at it, I'm like, this can't be a cake.
Yeah.
It can't be a cake that she's made. Elaine, you are such an inspiration to those that would listen and look and say, look, I started at this game later. I had a career,
Right.
but my passion was, this is what I love. And God, when God gifts your hands, he doesn't take it back.
That's right.
He will use it, and he will bless it.
Yes.
He will allow you to do what he wants to do with it.
Yes.
And it's never too late. If you
It's
had to
never
leave
too
our
late.
audience with anything, what would you, male, female, young, old, what would you want to leave our audience with?
I would leave them with whatever it is the Lord is calling you to do. Give it to him and allow him to develop it. Trust him, constantly talk to him. Lord, how am I going to do this? Even I'll say this, even as my husband pastors, he says, I don't know what I'm doing, but God does. So I just give it to him. So anything that we do, if we give it to God, God will, if it's his will, he will make it to be successful. So that's my biggest thing. And I know from what you're doing, I know that's what you do. You give it to God, and God is directing you. And so just trust him with whatever it is that you desire to do. Ask him, Lord, is this for me? Is this what you have for me to do? And once he gives you the green light on it, go with it. But don't leave him out. Don't say, okay, Lord, I got it, and let me just go with it. No, constantly go back to him, constantly ask him, help you, show you, and direct your path. And that's one of my favorite scriptures, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. And I do that even with the cake business, with making a cake. I don't lean to my own understanding. I ask God to help me. And then he says, in all your ways, acknowledge him. So through everything, while I'm working on it, I'm worshiping, I'm praising, I'm listening to music or whatever, says in all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. And I believe that is for whatever it is that we desire to do in life. God is true to his word, and he will direct your path.
Yes, that's so good. Guys, I hope that you visit her site. The motto says is, I'm gonna put it up here, EJ Elegant Eats, making elegance edible and delicious. Look, if you want to go and find someone that's going to make you something that you're proud of, you can share it, but you can also enjoy edible, beautiful, and edible. Please look up my friend Elaine. Go to Facebook to EJ's Elegant Eats, or you can email her. Now, don't email her and ask her nothing about our childhood. That's
right.
Telling about any of our parties.
Mom's the word.
Right. Any of us trying to dance and the dance
That's right.
Any of our talent show events.
No.
We ain't telling that.
Or the sweatshirt we used to wear.
Yes, girl, I think I still have a picture of that.
I know. Oh my goodness.
Or Debbie's backyard party when we graduated.
Yes.
Help us. We were dressed alike, all four of us had the same dresses. See, I'm telling all that stuff, but don't email her that. Email her and ask her what kind of cake you want. I'm going to get me a chai tea cake with cream cheese force and shaped in the shape of a her and I are going to connect and do that. And I wanted to share something that was on her page. I love this. Making elegance edible and delicious, a veteran owned, school trained and certified, excellence driven, customer approved, the sweet chef. Man, you can't beat that. You cannot beat that. And I'm going to read it one more time, slowly, for those who are listening, because sometimes when you really need to get something down, and I just believe, Elaine, that the Lord is going to continue blessing your hands to do what he's going to do, and that all those young women in the ministry that are in the community, they're watching. I know they are. I see some of the photos. They're gravitating. They're watching, not just because they see you as an example of somebody who's living for the Lord, trusting the Lord, what he's called you to do, but still being that faithful person
Praise
to give
God.
it all to him. And I love that you were even just shared that there's some things that
Yeah.
go against your conviction. I don't have to go there. I can just still trust
Right.
God because you
Yes.
are elegant, edible, and delicious. It's veteran owned, guys. Some people love this
Yes. Support
to
veterans.
support veteran owned businesses. She's school trained and certified. You're not just getting somebody in their back kitchen throwing something
Right.
together, you know what they putting together. Excellence driven. Now that's me. I'm a person about and customer approved. She's the
Yes.
sweet chef. Make sure
Yeah.
you go visit my friend if you're in the area, or look, from Dallas, we know it's a hop skip down the highway. Go get
Right.
cake. Get you a beautiful cake. Go to her Facebook, and I guarantee you're going to want to order a cake from EJ's Elegant Eats. Elaine, girl,
Amen.
we've been friends forever. Time
Yes.
never changes that.
That's
And I
right.
see you in person again. But thank you for
Yes.
coming on tonight and sharing your story and about the business, because I wanted people to hear about the business,
Mm-hmm.
not just promote it, but that for them to hear what God has done in your life.
Yes.
Love you and
I
thank you.
love you.
We see each
Thank
other
you for
in person.
having me.
Yes, ma'am.